Hello everyone, my name is Daisiana and welcome to my channel. I am so excited to be here with you, but first let me tell you just a smidge about myself. Again, my name is Daisiana. I am a mental health advocate. I am a fitness enthusiast and I love ice cream. All right, cool. Now that we got the intros out of the way, let's jump into why we are all here today. So I've been meaning to make a YouTube video and to start this channel for about a year and a half, right? I've had the tools, I've had the skills, I knew what I needed to do for real, and I just didn't do it, right? And I would always move the goalpost for myself. So I would be like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna make a YouTube, but I'm gonna do it when I get an upgraded phone because I wanna have better camera quality. Or I gotta wait until I get this newer tripod and then I get the tripod. Okay, but then I gotta wait until I get a new wardrobe and then I get the new wardrobe. You see what I'm saying? And so on and so forth. And it was like, I wasn't comfortable just doing something in the now. I always felt that I needed to add on to what I really had or just keep making new goals for myself. And after a while, it seemed like it was never gonna happen because I'm like, bro, how many goals are you gonna make for yourself? Like, when are you gonna finally decide to just go through it? And so I recently had a revelation about this exact thing when I was in therapy. And I decided that it wasn't so much of me procrastinating, and I don't have a fear of failure per se, but I was realizing that I was having a moment where I was dealing with imposter syndrome. So imposter syndrome is basically when you kind of, how do I say it? Imposter syndrome is basically when you kind of dumb down yourself or downplay yourself, right? And your skills and your intellect, and you feel like you're not enough in whatever moment it is. And a lot of times people say when they're experiencing imposter syndrome, they feel like a fraud. Like, do I really know? Or like, let's say for an example, you were selected to give a speech or something like that. And you're like, but do they really know me? Like, am I really worthy of giving this speech and stuff? And what it boils down to is imposter syndrome really has a lot to do with self-worth, right? A lot of the situations, sometimes you may feel as if you're unworthy of a situation, and you may feel unworthy of participating in it because you are with yourself 24 hours a day, right? And so you may feel like, yeah, but they don't know that I'm not super, like I'm not brilliant or I'm not a genius in this one aspect. And if they figure it out, then they're gonna know I'm a fraud and I don't know what I'm talking about and stuff like that. So I think that's why I kind of struggled to make this YouTube video and this YouTube channel at all, right? Because I'm thinking in my head like, yo, well, why should I be the one talking about mental health and wellness? What do I know? I don't have this super high sophisticated degree, right? But then I realized that I can share my own personal experiences and hopefully it helps somebody else along the way, right? Okay, because that's the goal. So that is kind of the definition of imposter syndrome. But like I was saying before, there are some symptoms and some signs or characteristics of imposter syndrome. So if this is you, don't worry, because at the end of the video, I'm gonna give you some tips and some stuff that has helped me, but also some stuff that I had researched. So hopefully this benefits you, all right? But anyway, so some signs and characteristics. So like I mentioned before, it's that feeling of like, I'm fraudulent or I don't know enough to be discussing or talking about whatever topic it is. Or it can feel like when someone says like, oh my gosh, you're so great, or congratulations in this or whatever, and you blame it on luck instead of being like, yeah, I worked hard and I deserve this or whatever. And I think what I always felt was that if I gas myself up too much or if I talk about myself in a positive way, I was taught to believe in my childhood and growing up that meant that I was selfish or conceited. And so now I have a problem when it comes to like accepting comments from other people, because I'm like, oh man, like if I say like, okay, like thank you or whatever, that means that, or if I try to go without, if I have a conversation and I don't downplay it or downplay myself in the process, then all of a sudden it's that I'm too big-headed and I think I'm all that, right? So I'm so afraid of having that label sometimes that I don't want to acknowledge like that there are good qualities and aspects about me. So something that I've been working on in therapy and outside, like obviously in my healing journey, is just being okay being complimented, and taking it in and not feeling the need to hide from those types of things and those kind of conversations, because just like I do, you deserve to be praised as well. You deserve to be given compliments. You deserve to be told that you're an amazing person and all of these great things and aspects and attributes about yourself. So please don't hide away from that. Don't shy away from that. You deserve to shine just like everybody else, right? So the love that you give to other people, it's okay to accept that in return. Okay? Okay. So that's one of the characteristics. Another characteristic is not only saying like, oh, I'm lucky, but just basically thinking that you don't deserve to be in the spot that you're in and trying to sabotage that along the way. So for example, when some of you may know already, but I produced a mental health and wellness journal called Worthy I Am. It's on Amazon. I will put the link in the caption area. But anyway, so I created a journal called Worthy I Am, a journey for the rediscovery of self. And basically, during this book writing process, I had a coach. Yes, there are book writing coaches, and she was amazing. So shout out to Chanel Fair at Believe in Your Book Publishing, because she really put me on. I mean, my book ended up on Amazon, in Walmart, Target, Barnes and Nobles, all kind of stuff. Like, she is super dope. But anyway, I say all that to say, I met her at a conference, and she basically was like, oh, what do you do? And at the time I was a social media manager, and I was asking her, like, what do you do? And she was like, oh, I help people create their books. Like, I help people believe in their books and create them from start to finish and blah, 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 blah. Okay, cool. So she was like, and I'm going to help you write a book. And I'm like, I don't have anything to say. Why would I write a book? You know what I'm saying? Like, and I even tried to downplay it from jump. But she was like, if you reach out to me, I will help you write your book. And I'm like, okay, you know. So we exchanged numbers. But you know, if you've ever gone to a conference, it'd be like real hypey. Like, everybody be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this. But it's rare sometimes that people actually like do what they say they're gonna do. So I'm thinking nothing of it. And I go back home because I lived in LA at the time. She lived in Florida. So I'm like, okay, I go back to, we go back to our lives, whatever. Then she calls me out of the blue, and she was like, hey Daisy, are you ready to write your book? Because I'm ready to help. And she was so kind and sweet. And every week we would have a book writing coach session where she would teach me the ins and outs of book writing, and she would help me get like my strategy together. She would ask me what the vision for my book was, and then she would also be an accountability coach for me, and she would check in and be like, so how far are you? Well, I got the book done, and then I did like the worst half-assed, like, I don't even know, like, it was so, like, it was bad, right? This first version of the book was so bad. And I say all that to say, which the point is back to the characteristic of self-sabotage, right? Because I didn't believe in my book, right, which is her whole company, everything she stands for is helping people to believe in their book and their book writing journey. Because I didn't believe in myself, and because I was kind of like used to envisioning how I wanted my life to be, but now that I saw it going in that direction and the things that I thought of in my head and journaled about and prayed about were manifesting, I was like, oh my gosh, stop. I'm not ready. And because I wasn't ready, I was like digging my feet into the sand, right? Like, I did not want to go the distance. I didn't want to go as far as I could, because instead of having a fear of failure, I had a fear of success. I was like, okay, and once I become successful in my own right, what if I can't match that next level? Or what if I can't ever reach that level of success ever again? And so it paralyzed me with fear. And as a result, I was willing to have her publish this book that looked like garbage. Like, I wish I could find some pictures, and I'll definitely upload them to my social media if I can. But or if I find them. But this first version of that book was so bad, and it was purposely bad because I just didn't believe that I was good enough to write a book. I didn't believe that I was good enough to share my story. I didn't believe I was good enough to write a mental health journal. I didn't believe in myself. So I was like, as a result, it's like, who cares if I mess up or whatever? If that's what I publish, if people are like, oh my gosh, this is garbage, then it reaffirms in my head that I wasn't as ready, which is just a self-fulfilling prophecy, which we're gonna have to do another video about that because that's the whole thing. But anyway, so I discussed the signs and symptoms. I discussed the definition of imposter syndrome. Now I'm gonna discuss how we can, or what some tips are to be able to help people when they are dealing with imposter syndrome, and certain things that have helped me. So another characteristic before I get off of that is setting too high expectations. So me saying, oh my gosh, I'm gonna write a book was such a big goal that it was so hard for my brain to even compute, let alone finishing, but even starting on that momentous type of journey, right? So I was like, nah, I can't even think about something like that. Like, it's way too much for me. Slow it down. So that's why I'm grateful to have had a book writing coach like Chanel, because she was able to be like, we don't have to worry about all of that. Let's just go chapter by chapter. Or in my case, let's just go a couple of quotes at a time. And then from there, it was like, okay, start with 5 quotes at a time. Okay, start with, now we're gonna do 10 quotes. Now we're gonna do this. Now we're gonna do that. Okay, now we're going to write it down on paper, like transfer from your phone to paper. Okay, now type it out. So setting those goals, which is a tip that actually helped me and helps me now, right? Taking a big goal and chunking it down into smaller, realistic size portions and goals. So that way it's easier for you to like maintain and actually achieve those goals, right? So creating real expectations for yourself. And then I'd say another goal is also learning how to celebrate yourself for the accomplishment of those goals. I think just like I was mentioning earlier about like growing up and not celebrating yourself, or growing up and feeling as if you couldn't like be like, I look good or whatever, because you didn't want to get a label of being big-headed or arrogant or conceited. Celebrating yourself, at least for me, was not a part of the childhood cards, right? It was like, celebrating yourself for what? You're supposed to do A, B, C, and D. But no. Like, you have to find something that makes attaining the goal worth it for you, which will help your brain be like, you know what? I like this feeling. Let me start doing more so I can start having more to celebrate. At least that's how it works for me. But yeah, so that is all about imposter syndrome. Let me know if you have any questions or comments, and let me know what other mental health topics you would like for me to discuss. All right, I hope y'all follow me on social media at Daisiana.